Hello and welcome to So Good We Named It, the first Golden Girls and Golden Palace podcast, and the first Golden Girls or Golden Palace podcast with Black hosts, to my knowledge anyway. I'm Barrett.
And I'm Kay.
And we're actually in person. I came over her house. I've been over here since like 12, just because I was like, we got to be together if we're going to do this with Lynnie Green and Meg Fisher. Even though she left me outside because she didn't have her phone. And I was just standing there trying to clock in. It was
I'm sorry.
But anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to tell you, I spotted you at Goldencon before we even were there. We were in the parking garage at the hotel. Yeah. And I think I recorded it on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I think that's Lynnie Green. And I'm like oddly zooming in. Like, I think it is, trying to pull up on Google to verify if it was you. I thought that was the closest I'd get all weekend. I don't know if I knew yet that I was interviewing you, but I was excited just to see you get in your taxi. That was enough. I was like, I can go home now.
Okay, you want to know what? I was excited because Dinah Manoff got out of the taxi we got into at one point, and I was so excited because it was like, oh, look, I got into Dinah Manoff's taxi. So
see, well, we're all enjoying it, and I was even looking you up previously. I don't even think I knew if we were involved with Goldencon at that point, but it was pretty close to that. I was like, I wonder if she looks like B. Arthur now because she might be around the same age. I don't know why I just assumed you might. But to be talking to you now, it's, even then, I think on stage I said it's like I'm in my TV and I still, am like pinching myself. But the special guest.
I think I looked more like B when I was younger.
You did, oddly enough. You really did. Like, I saw an article recently, I think it was TV Line, they just did it, of like the best flashback actors, and you were on there, I think, as the number one. Because a lot of shows, they don't even try. They really don't. And you were like spot on.
I'm a flashback actor.
It was very, very spot on, for sure. And the special guest, for those of you that saw me promote it, would be Meg Fisher, your wife. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the invite. It was wonderful to meet you at Goldencon.
You too. We were talking a lot, and I didn't know if you were her wife. I didn't want to assume. I was like, well, maybe she just has a very hands-on assistant or something. I don't know. I was like, I'm just happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk to me. So I didn't want to assume anything. But if you can tell a little bit about how you all met and what it's like being queer in Hollywood, if you can share anything at all with that.
I'm going to let Meg tell you how we met. And
okay. Yeah. So I was with Apple living in California, and I was able to buy a house there in Los Angeles. And so I ended up buying this house. It was an investment property that Lynnie had. And so I thought, well, she's kind of cool. And I thought, well, maybe she's too cool for me though. But we became friends, and then the rest is history.
Okay, so what really happened was that she had a crush on my best friend.
Oh, juicy.
I had helped my best friend buy a house, and she bought that house, and eventually she was able to see past her crush on my best friend and see me, and that's. But it was I thank heavens she got over her crush, and the rest, of course, is history. Being queer in Los Angeles, well, first, it was really hard I became a television writer, and it became, hard to be initially the only woman in the room, which is very different now, thank heavens. But it was also, I did not come out on my first job, which was for a children's show. But I did come out all of a sudden I felt actually there were a lot of gay men around who were very nurturing, who were on television shows at that time. And in fact, I felt comfortable to be myself pretty much after my first year in television. I was able to, go through all of my failed relationships with my fellow writers in the room, et cetera, and be very open about it. But I think there has been a tremendous shift, and I just think what I'm watching now, I mean, I'm seeing such diversity from every kind of angle, and that's not the way it was. It was a straight white guy's locker room that I was invited into, and I wasn't comfortable initially coming out in the straight boys' locker room, but eventually, there are a few others of us hanging around, men, and who are gay guys, and it made it much easier.
Yeah, I know that. Of course, everybody knows the story of Ellen and her sitcom, but are a lot of people like Lily Tomlin that have been acting and doing everything for years, and for whatever reason, nobody is bothering them too much about it. So it's good to know that you didn't have a negative experience with it, and that you felt comfortable, especially back then when it was a little more taboo. Meg, I'm curious, what is it like to be married to someone from TV? You seem really into it. You seem to love the whole thing, but do people stop you in the street and you're like, oh, not again? Or like, you're kind of a fan too, maybe, before you met?
Well, so I think just generally as an industry, I think it's great being married to an artist. I mean, ultimately, Lynnie's background as a classically trained actress from Juilliard. I'm very proud of a rich tradition that she comes from with the arts, and that she's had two successful careers with acting and with television writing. Me coming from the world of tech, working for Apple for many years, it was just a wonderful kind of a yin yang experience. I think together, I don't think I had an impression about necessarily stardom and things like that. I just knew Lynnie for who she was, and felt so thankful that we met to really know each other, and our relationship really was blossomed out of a common value system and a commonality of kind of how we see the world. And so I could look at her vocation as being an artist. And again, I'm just so incredibly proud of her career and her trajectory. And so I guess we get to have been kind of the Los Angeles power couple, just in two different areas of career choices.
I never saw myself as a power couple, but
I
love
would
that
think
you
so. And by the way, if Apple wants to sponsor the show, feel free to tell them. We're happy with that. If they want to send us some MacBooks.
Okay.
But you mentioned that you have done some other things, and in looking at IMDb, I was shocked, stunned, as Blanche would say, at some of the things that you've worked on that I was already a fan of, and I love obscure TV shows, and I see that you worked on the 5 Mrs. Buchanans. I love that show. I hate that it only had a season.
That was the first. You know what happened? Here's what happened. Is that the guys from Golden Girls, Wooten and Sherry, became friends, and I told them I was interested in writing, and in fact they gave us our first nighttime job, and it actually came because I did Golden Girls. So it's an odd transition, but I never would have had the entree if Jamie Wooten and Mark Cherry hadn't been gracious enough to approach me and first of all, tell me they had a pilot that they were interested in me for. But more than that, they came to see me in a show I was doing in Los Angeles called Florida Red Menace. And it was a funny role. And I think sometimes when people see you in a funny role, they think you're funny, and they were, they don't realize there's somebody. They think where the joke is, but somebody wrote that. They ended up hiring me and my partner Richard to do the Five Mrs. Buchanans, and it was kind of thrilling because it was like those were heavy hitting women as well. Judith Ivey and Eileen Hackert. And that was our very first entree. I can't believe, old, obscure.
I really do. I've seen every episode, and anybody that's listening, it's on YouTube. You get to see Aunt Zelda from Sabrina as like a sexy vixen, if you can imagine. And she was great at it. If the show had continued, would we have ever seen Lyndon and PJ, who we hear so much about but never see?
Yeah. I'm sure you would have, yes, if the show had. I can't believe it. I am stunned. You're like a little encyclopedia.
Oh, well, I've also watched Lush Life, which also was hilarious.
Oh my God,
and should have lasted longer.
This is like a podcast for the obscure.
I really should start one because I really love these shows that don't get the justice they deserve. But Karen Parsons, I believe it's Lori Petty, are in it.
Yeah.
And
Yvette Bowser was the showrunner on that.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting experience. It didn't quite. Did you like the show?
I did like it, and I felt like it was really like ahead of its time. Like the jokes were just so like one after another, but maybe because it was on Fox, I don't know. Married with Children, it's its own type of classic, but it's not the same type of comedy, and that's a lot of the stuff they were doing back then. So maybe it was ahead of its time. And Normal, Ohio, I also liked that with John Goodman.
God, you are like you're literally pulling out things nobody has ever seen.
I was the viewer. I was the one watching. I watched it when it was first on. And
John Goodman as a closeted gay man.
Again, ahead of its time. And also on Fox. You should have stayed away from Fox. They can't appreciate you. But I was shocked. I never would have assumed that you were associated with those. And Stark Raving Mad, that I have not seen, but I knew about it. And it has Neil Patrick Harris, for those that don't know, and Tony Shalhoub. What a pair to be in a TV show.
Absolutely.
And Nip Tuck, there's something everybody knows, Nip Tuck, since I'm naming random things.
Okay.
But those are just some of the ones that I liked. And who I didn't know. I really assumed prior to my research that you were only acting, but I see you do a lot of writing and producing. I don't see a credit. I didn't see one since 1991 on Law and Order. What made you step away from being in front of the camera?
I was gonna turn 30, and a couple things occurred to me, and that was that, for one thing, I was seeing folks who were even way more successful than me, who were women in their 30s, and it was kind of like, gee, why are the roles getting smaller when I'm getting better? And some of it was it had to do with women in Hollywood at that point. And I was really thinking to myself, I was doing a Stephen Sondheim show, Assassins, and I had just finished doing a play by Eugene O'Neill called A Moon for the Misbegotten. And I felt like I had achieved a certain I had something to prove to myself and artistically. And I felt like, gosh, these roles are few and far between. I need to write some. I need to create more roles for women who are like my age. And so I made the switch, and I was very lucky because I have a writing partner I've known since I'm 13 years old named Richard Levine. And we both went to Juilliard and had the same kind of values, and we both know how to write a scene. So we worked together, and it was it's if you're a good actor, and you understand how a scene is constructed, writing to a certain extent is deconstruction. So it was kind of like acting on paper, and I enjoyed that. And I also actually am terribly shy, and acting took a lot out of me.
She's very shy,
and so it was actually kind of nice to do it on paper and let the paper get you jobs instead of auditioning in front of people all the time. It was nice to let the work do the talking. Am I making any sense to you at all?
I can get that, because believe it or not, I consider myself very shy. Hard to tell. I hide it very well. And I can definitely get that. But I think you're selling yourself a little short. You were on the cover of TV Guide for On Our Own. So, I mean, not everybody can say they were on the front of TV Guide. But
well, certainly not anymore.
But how did you end up with your own show?
Oh, how did I? I don't have a good answer for that. I was out of college. I mean, I went to Juilliard, as I said, 3 times now, evidently. And I don't know why. Anyway, so I was auditioning in New York, and they couldn't find anyone for this particular role. And they called my agent. My agent didn't even send me in. And they said, is Lynnie Green funny? And my agent said, I don't know. I think so. Big heavy sell there. Anyway, I went in, and it was, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I hadn't started doing commercials or anything, and I'd never been in a big high-rise New York building before. I went to my apartment in Juilliard and back, and this was a New York skyscraper, and there was a studio and all of this stuff, and I was like, my jaw was dropped just from the experience. Was such a kick that I wasn't nervous. I was just going, wow, look, neon. There's a sign like this. And I think I got that job because I was so green and inexperienced, and it showed. And that has its charm at a certain age. And I knew where the joke was. I knew how to make people laugh, on the page. And actually, what I also remember thinking that the writer of that show was named Bob Randall, and he passed on from AIDS, actually. And the producer of that show was David Susskind. And I remember thinking when I got the script, oh, this sounds like me talking. It was, I had been doing a lot of classical stuff, and when you get a conversational script where you're just talking like you, it felt like the right pair of shoes, like it just fit. So the real answer to your question, how did I get a television show at 21? I would say I was lucky. I said, dumb luck. There's just right place, right time.
Well, I mean, it's worked for me, because all of this has just been right place, right time. So definitely. I definitely understand. Would you ever make a return to acting? Maybe a Golden Girls reboot and play Dorothy, or anything at all could draw you back onto the screen?
You never say never. But like I said, I'm shy. So someone would have to ask me, so nice. And because I'm actually, I'm not terribly ambitious at the moment. So, which is, but if something were really interesting enough and it looked like it was going to be fun, I might, But I also think that, I just want to give a plug to somebody I think looks more like Dorothy now than I do. You know, he's one of the Golden Gays.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
yes. You mean Jason?
Gobsmacked. Okay, last name is Schmidt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was gobsmacked.
He really does. It does the voice and everything.
Yeah.
Yes, and it wasn't just that he looked, as you're saying, that he looked like her. You know, and it was so nice, wasn't it nice? You felt like you were seeing her again.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, he really underplayed. He had her in his bones.
Mhm.
And he didn't have to do much.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he's wonderful.
Very
The
talented.
Golden Gays, if they ever come to your town, anyone listening to this, they are so entertaining.
Yeah.
You'll have a wonderful time.
Definitely. And
They're
having
really nice, too.
They are. I've kept in contact, and having done Dorothy myself, on YouTube or TikTok, whatever. Certainly not as well as Jason, but I think a lot of people kind of overdo it. And like you said, it's the subtle little things like mannerisms and inflections that, you have, Jason has, and of course me. I'm gonna throw myself in there. Didn't go to Juilliard though. I definitely think that you could, come back and be welcomed if you wanted to. If I ever write something, since as I've mentioned, have gone to, school for TV writing and production, haven't done anything with it, but I would love to, write a show one day. And if I do, I'm gonna be like, excuse me, can you do like a walk on or something?
Well,
you don't have to star in it.
You write that show. You do it. You're young and energetic, and you have to find the hours to make sure that it happens. That's all.
Right. There you go.
Or if you write a show, you can put me in it. We'll just trade off. Either one, whichever works. Just got to throw myself in there a little bit. I'm curious, just to backtrack a little back to Golden Girls, since I know, hey, if you listen to this many episodes, you know that when I have people from the show, we don't get to the Golden Girls till later because I want to talk about their life story. But for instance, let's say Urkel. He doesn't like when people are always, coming up to him saying, oh, do the Urkel dance or whatever. You seem to get a kick out of people, bringing up the Golden Girls, even though you've done so much else. But this is like the one thing people are stuck on. I assume you're okay with that if somebody runs up, young Dorothy, because you seem to, appreciate it as much as we appreciate you.
Oh, you never know when you're your age what you're going to do that's going to last. You don't know which of your endeavors is going to fizzle. You just don't know. What a shock. Yes, I've done a lot of other things, okay? But what a surprise and delight it is that something I did when I was 30-something, 35 years later, somebody comes up and says, I like you in the show. I mean, what's to complain about?
Right.
I mean, that happened in my lifetime. It got revived. It was like something I did 37 years ago, and
Wow.
it's just extraordinary. It's nice to be remembered. You never know what for, or what kind of impression you made. In a way, they're more appreciated now than they were then.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel like, hey, even if you're the next door neighbor on the Lucy show, 100 years hence, someone's going to see the next door neighbor on the Lucy show.
Mhm.
It's very flattering,
No.
kind of touching in some way, I think.
Yeah, I was on a court show in like 2008, and people will still say, hey, weren't you on the show? I'm like, I've done other stuff. But at the same time, like, oh, I'm glad you remembered it. Clearly you have some type of attachment. You kept that jacket that I have mentioned on several episodes, saying, if Lynnie Green ever wants to leave that jacket to me, if you've done your estate planning, I don't know.
Well, nice of them, because, it was like a crew jacket for them to give it to me. But also imagine, I didn't want to part with it, but where do you wear it?
Right.
You can't wear it anywhere. So, I mean, if you're not going to advertise that you were on Golden Girls. So the fact that I finally, after 37 years, had a chance to wear the jacket, it was a delight. It was like, yippee, I'm so glad I kept it.
And once you give it to me, I'll get lots of use out of it. How did you get involved with Golden Girls in the first place, and were you already a fan?
Oh, well, everybody was a fan. I was, as I
Not Mark
said,
Sotkin.
I was first and foremost, very candidly and obviously, a B. Arthur fan. I was a fan of hers from the theater. I took her very seriously as an actress, and I was aware of her performances outside of television. And I was just an acolyte, you know. I just thought she was wonderful, and because she was a tall, dark, intelligent, forceful woman who really broke down just every ceiling in the world at that time. There was nobody like her in show business who wasn't the butt of a joke. She made the jokes. And a big, strong woman, you know, who wasn't traditionally attractive, to get that kind of respect and admiration, you know, was it made it possible for you to possibly believe there'd be a place for you in the business when, you know, she broke down doors. So I was always interested in what she was doing. A friend of mine, a director named Lonnie Price, some of you may know, he was friends with Kathy and Terry Grossman, and he said to them, I have a friend who is a fan of B. Arthur's and looks, you know, enough like her to be her daughter. And they said, well, we're going to be casting for a daughter. And so I got the script, and it was a generic daughter. Actually, Lisa Jane Persky, wonderful actress, ended up doing it. But I said to my friend, I can't do these lines. Oh, mommy, I'm so this isn't B. He said, do it like B. And I went in and I went, oh, mommy. And I was very B throughout the whole thing, even though it was like my heart is broken, or, you know, whatever the child was saying. And then what happened was nobody laughed. And I was mortified, and I thought I had made an idiot out of myself. And I then ran with my friend, and I went to a Japanese restaurant and drank sake. And I remember that. And then the next day, he called and he said, I talked to Kathy and Terry, and I went, oh, God. And he said, no, you're not getting the role of the daughter. I said, don't, please, of course. He said, they're writing something for you. I said, what? They're writing something special for you. I was blown away because it felt like a complete failure. You know, it felt like I had made a fool of myself playing this little girl like B. Arthur. But it turned out they were just quiet because they were surprised at what they were seeing. Because I'd worked very hard on studying her and sort of internalizing her as much as I could, so that I wouldn't have to think about and impersonating her. I could just play the scene. Right. So I'd seen Golden Girls. If I'm going to be completely, oh, and by the way, I mean, I think I talk a lot about B because obvious reasons, but I was equally impressed with the skill in a very different way of Betty. I think when you consider the difference between Sue Ann Nivens and Golden Girls, you know, Rose is as different as can be, and she channeled her genuine sweetness, and that she was, I think, of if you don't want to say who showed the most range in television, I would have to say Betty White set a real high mark, because we believed her totally to be Sue Ann Nivens. And then we believed her totally that she was Rosen Island, and that usually doesn't work that way.
True.
Usually you distrust the second character because you've grown so fond of the first.
And I knew her as Ellen Harper first on Mama's Family. And that's what made me watch the Golden Girls. I said, oh, look, it's Ellen and Aunt Fran. And that's kind of what drew my attention to it. And again, both characters totally different, which, you know, not everybody can do that. And it definitely is a talent. And in reference to you playing the daughter, I actually just watched that episode. And it was a very, you know, all their kids for the most part are very generic just to move the story along. And the first Kate didn't look like her. The second Kate did look like B. Moore, but she also didn't really have much to go with. As opposed to your character, who I believe you were on there 4 times, which is more than either Kate or any of their kids. So I think you came out better for being young Dorothy. But did you know you would come back?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted it very badly because because, you know, when you're a fan of somebody and it meant so much to me because I was such a fan of hers. That it was like I got to be in her presence and sit next to her when we were getting our makeup done and talk about her career and stuff like that. I was a genuine fan.
It was your Goldencon before Goldencon, basically. And you knew you would keep coming back after the first time? They said, oh, we got to have you back at this time.
No. I was on to doing another show in New York. And in fact, they were so poopy. At one point, I couldn't get out of the show, and they said, well, we want you back and they gave me the dates, and I couldn't get out, and they said, well, we'll recast it. And I thought, you know, but then I also thought, go ahead, see who you can get.
Right.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Let's see who you come up with. And then they moved the dates for me, which was very nice.
As they should have, since you are, I would say you're probably the most beloved of any Golden Girls character outside of the 4 ladies. Like every Golden Girls group and on Twitter, I'm always seeing you over anybody else because you really were like
iconic.
One of the girls.
Yeah.
Basically out of all the guest stars.
Well, that's so wonderful to hear. With great humility, the last living Golden Girl.
That is true.
Because I was Dorothy Zbornak, young. Somebody had a good idea, and it wouldn't be. I thought it was a great idea, but you'd have to talk Susan Harris and Wick Thomas into releasing the character. But I thought that the idea of Dorothy Zbornak as a young person, as a young girl. Was actually Lindsay pitched that at one of our Goldencon things. And I actually think that's a charming idea, is to see who these women were.
I'd watch anything, though. It could be Golden Girls Claymation, and I'm going to watch it. It doesn't matter what it is, really. I definitely think that, you know, could be something. And I even, ever since we met, my pinned tweet on Twitter has been you saying to watch So Good We Named It. It has not changed. I said, if young Dorothy says it, then you know that you need to listen to this. But, you know, you definitely made your mark. I think the only other character that is as talked about is Bonnie Bartlett's Barbara Thorndike, but that's in a different way. Right. We love to hate her.
Well, you know what, though? I got to meet Monty Markham, and he had a real impact on people. And I got to meet John Schuck, and that was really fun. And when I was there, I got to meet Alan Blumenthal, whom I met when we did this one of our episodes together, and I hadn't seen him since. He was Mr. Haha.
Yeah, and Lou, the plumber.
They had him back. That was nice. Anyway, it was so lovely. Imagine running into Mr. Haha after 37 years. It was a great reunion of sorts.
And everyone was great overall. You were my favorite. You too. Don't tell anybody. It's hard to pick a favorite, really. Everyone is my favorite in some way. But I felt more of a connection, I guess you could say, with you all, because you were the most real and just like regular people. We were just chatting it up, you know. It wasn't like celebrity and fan. It was like old pals, I'll say.
Yeah, well, it was I don't know what it is even when I was on the cover of TV Guide, to tell you the truth, I was never really comfortable with the idea of celebrity to begin with. As I say, I'm really shy, and it was it was like meeting friends, and I didn't feel like people I just met people who liked the show that I had the distinct privilege of being part of, and don't think I don't know it.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, we made a lot of friends and we kept in touch with folks like Heather, who's here with us today, and Jimmy and Tyson and other people too that were just, I felt like we were all kindred spirits. Mm-hmm. So we had a chance, and that kind of the way that GoldenCon was set up too, is that there was like ample space for us to actually have conversations and spend a couple minutes. I know it was just a lot of fun. I'm really hoping they have another one next year so we can get back together again in person.
They better.
And it's the only place. It's like this strange United Nations, because it's like everybody from every place, and people you ordinarily wouldn't have exchanges with, extremes of differences, and everybody loving each other because they all loved the same thing. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything like it before. If you want to know the truth, I was extremely moved by the goodwill and openness and kindness. And it's like everybody came there expecting to meet a friend, mm-hmm. And it was lovely to be a part of it. If you want to know the absolute truth, it was very special.
It was. I felt like my favorite example is if you go to a foreign country and you run into someone from your hometown. That's kind of the feeling, because I'm used to being the weirdo because I like Golden Girls, and now I'm a nobody because everybody here likes Golden Girls. Because I've loved it since I was like 12, and I was carrying that picture around with me all weekend in the frame of me in front of my homemade Golden Girls posters on construction paper at like 12. And I was like, look at us now. We came a long way, baby. So it definitely is still surreal. I'm still coming down off of it months later. And Indeed. Hopefully they have another one. Just tell them you won't participate unless they bring us back.
Yeah, you too.
I'm hoping.
I had a good time, for sure.
Yeah. And I loved hanging out in the green room because you never knew who was going to walk in next. It was exciting every time the door opened.
It was a totally fun experience. And I had my first Chicago deep dish pizza.
Did it live up to the hype?
Well, I have to ask, do you Chicago people actually eat that whole thing?
So
it's enormous.
That's special occasion pizza.
Right.
We don't get that every time we have pizza. That's only certain times.
Right.
Because it is a lot. But we do.
At the most, if you're really hungry, you can do a slice.
Maybe
because it's a cake. It's a pie. It's
a whole
4
meal.
inches thick.
Yeah, it's really it's enormous. Maybe a slice or two, depending on your appetite. But it's definitely a special occasion pizza for sure. It's delicious.
It was. Oh yeah. It was just an invitation to a heart attack.
Pretty much. Giordano's, if you'd like to sponsor the show, let us know. We're always looking for sponsorships, free stuff. Hasn't happened yet. But I don't want to keep you all forever, even though I could talk to you for 5 hours. But I do want to just make sure I thank you all for joining us. This is, it's surreal to have people from the show on the show. We just started it in like January, and I'm like, nobody's gonna listen to this, and it probably sounds like we felt that way if you listen to the first few episodes,
right?
But we had to step it up a bit, like, oh wow, people actually want to hear this. But are you doing anything new that people can look out for? Maybe
I'm developing a new show.
Oh.
As the contract hasn't exactly closed yet, I'm going to be a little circumspect about it, but I'll say that it looks to be developed by MGM.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's a limited series, but I'm not going to say what it is till the deal is absolutely closed. And we're very close, and I don't think there should be a problem. But then you can ask me again, and I'll tell you what it is.
Well, if you need actors, be sure to invite
Yeah, man
us
at
to
bus
audition.
stop, whatever.
Right.
I'll gladly fly myself there if necessary.
Right.
Whatever it
Man
takes.
at bus stop, that could work.
Okay, and who knows, 30 years from now, I'll be at a convention for this show.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh my God, it's the man from the bus stop. You never know. I do want to ask you before we part, if you can tell the story that you told us at GoldenCon about your missed opportunity with B. Arthur, because I think that's a lesson to be told to people.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be a downer.
Just bring the
I'll tell you, I was this, as I said, B. Arthur was my idol, and by the last episode, we had sort of broken the ice, but she was still B. Arthur, and I was still who I was, 31-year-old, person. And anyway, again, I'm very shy, and we had a rough taping that night for a number of reasons, not any of which were our own. And at the end of the night, she said, I want a drink. And I looked at her, and I was, awed, and I said, a drink, and she or water, but a drink. And she there was nobody else around. It was meant for me. And I could have at that point gone, hey, let me get changed and I'll see you. But instead I went, and good night type of thing. And I missed a chance to have a drink and be a friend instead of an idol worshiper. And I really, it was a missed opportunity. I regretted my whole life that I didn't take the chance and get to be her friend as opposed to an acolyte, a worshiper. I mean, we talked after that, for a few years, off and on, often meeting at the theater or something. And we were always very nice to each other and was always very warm. She was lovely to me, but I couldn't step over the threshold of being in awe of her. And if there's a lesson here, is it's don't be timid,
If anything, that kind of inspired me a bit because I'm kind of shy, and because there were so many people there that I, like you, was a fan of, but I was just like, when am I going to get this opportunity again? I may not. So even though I felt very uncomfortable, I was going up to people the entire weekend and
very pushy.
Very, here, have my business card, or, oh, can you do the show, whatever, because even though I was like, yeah, they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it, I was like, you know what, when else am I going to have this chance? And it worked. So at least you can say that you inspired me to take those chances, because nobody asked me for a drink. I just was in their faces, cornering them, chasing Bonnie Bartlett when she's been pushed out in a wheelchair. Hey, come back. So I was just like, what's the worst they can do is say no. At least I asked. I don't have to say, oh, if only I had said something. So literally probably every special guest there I have reached out to.
Every single one.
And, for the most part, I've had a lot of them on here, including you all, because I felt the same way about you. And I was like, well, I don't want to, regret anything. So if maybe that should make you feel better that, it helped me.
Since then, I mean, we live and learn. There have been plenty of other times it's taught me a lesson too, is don't make the same mistake you made then.
You never know.
We could have been really good friends, I think,
BFFs,
anyway.
Perhaps.
That's right.
But the lesson is be pushy. I used to work at State Farm, and I literally walked in off the street, and I was like, hey, you hiring? I think I could do this. And he's like, well, I'm not hiring, but since you walked in off the street and asked, sure. And I sold insurance for a while. So you just got to be pushy. That's how I got here. So I don't know where that
really
may be.
Borderline obnoxious, but I digress.
I mean, at least next year people will actually know who we are and not just be like, who is this guy? Why is he giving me this card? So I think, it makes a difference.
That's fair.
So shortly after GoldenCon, someone named Heather reached out to me about our mutual love for the Golden Girls. And since then, we've kept in touch, talking pretty regularly. And she mentioned to me how she had such a great experience when she met Lynnie and Meg. So I thought maybe I should have her record a little message that I can play for them when they're on the show.
Hello.
Hi. Heather.
Hello.
Surprise. You get to tell them your
Meg.
story
Oh
in
my
person.
goodness.
It's not pre-recorded. That was a lie. Hope I didn't
my
catch you
goodness.
off guard.
Hi.
Surprise.
I'm so glad I kept my makeup on. I'm just kidding.
You know what? I read your post in Facebook, and I was so touched because I enjoyed meeting you too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It wasn't a one-way street. So, but yeah, wasn't that the most fun?
Oh my God. It was just, yeah, I'm still blown away by it. And I've told her, I've been to many conventions before, Star Trek and, lots of other ones, Comic-Cons, and I'm sorry, but nothing has compared to this. Like everyone felt like family. And I'm just so glad that, you had fun too, and you enjoyed it. And it wasn't like, too overwhelming for anyone. It was like meeting friends, and everyone got to, just communicate and take their time. And that's what it really should be about. And, even for first time con goers, especially, like Barrett, I'm just so glad that people like him got to experience that. It's just so special. And
it was my first con, and I keep thinking, are they all this way? It was so warm and non-judgmental because there were people of all ages and all backgrounds and shapes and sizes and permutations. And everybody seemed really accepting of each other, like they were all friends of the same friends, They were friends of friends, which I guess made them family. And I never saw anything quite like that. I mean, I don't know if you're one of those people who can actually feed back lines. Like, you get cues and then exactly, and it could be season 5, episode 10.
oh yes, what color shirt they're wearing? Oh yeah, I'm sorry to say, yes.
Obsessive.
I can be.
I love it.
What is it that draws you in, draws so many people in?
Yes, Heather, do share.
I think it's, well, for one thing, I started watching with like so many, I started watching the Golden Girls at a young age. I'm going to be 36 this year. I started watching at a young age with my grandparents. Believe it or not, it was my grandfather of all people. And then my grandmother started watching it with them, but he got her into it. And then I was watching it with her, mostly on Lifetime repeats. And, just something about it was just so comforting. Just the jokes and the writing and the women, even like the clothes they wore, the atmosphere of it and everything. And I just continued watching the reruns all throughout my entire life. And, as you get older, you start to pick up on the lines and, oh, I didn't understand that when I was 6. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I listened to that when I was young, all the sexual jokes and everything, even at 36, I'm still getting them and blushing. I'm like, oh my goodness, but I really think it's a comfort thing, and especially through COVID, when things were especially bad, and it hit me, it hit so many other people, and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And you're watching the Golden Girls, and it's like all of a sudden everything is okay. And I work from home 4 days out of the 5 days, and some people keep the radio on, or they listen to music while they work, or they have to sit in a quiet room. I have the TV on. Don't tell anyone I said that, even though this is going to be distributed
Just
to the world
between
now,
us.
but I hope my coworkers won't hear this. I have the TV on. I have the Golden Girls, and along with their spinoffs too, because I have to hear that laughter. I have to hear Dorothy. I have to hear Rose. And it's not like I'm sitting there like staring at it. I'm doing my work, but I already know all the lines. I already know. And it just makes me feel so much better. I struggle a little bit with anxiety too. So this really helps me out a lot. And it's just funny. And I introduced a lot of my friends to it, who are my age, some are a little bit younger, and they love it. you know, and I think it's the same with them. It reminds them of their family, their grandparents, you know. I mean, the writing is just superb. Like the jokes are just on spot, you know.
We had that same experience. We went back, and we don't watch it with the same kind of fervor. I think the truest fan base does. I'm just grateful for my association. Mm-hmm. And we were watching some the other night, and we both looked at each other and went, darn, that was really good writing.
Absolutely.
And it was really like, well, that was what, and also I think the truth is its quality. I was really impressed with their timing. It was a well-oiled machine. It was a great quartet. And I really was impressed with just the quality of the comedy. And the relationships were so clear. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's special. And maybe when I did it, I didn't know how special at the time. And, you know, I think now I realize, dang, that was really good, you know?
I don't think anyone, I mean, I just listened to Mark on the last episode of this podcast, and he didn't think either. Like, you know, I hear Betty White on these special I watch say, you know, most of their fans are in their 20s, believe it or not, like in today's age. It's like, you would never there's more fans now, if I'm correct, than there were like back in the 80s. And, you know, another thing that's so special about this is, you know, and unlike a lot of today's shows, you know, and I don't know if there's a name for it, but, you know, you're looking at their reactions, you know, and Dorothy comes to mind when I think of this, when Rose says something or Blanche says, and the audience is just laughing hysterically, and you're staring at her reaction for like 5 minutes and the camera's going back and forth. There's nothing like that.
No, but you have to know that there was no one else. Yeah. There has not been since anyone on the planet who could do a triple, quadruple take like that. Oh yes, there was. I'll tell you who. If you watch Lucy do Vitamita Vegemin.
Yes. Vitamita Vegemin.
And if you see that what you're watching is the brain thinking of different things, and you see what she's thinking.
Yes.
In Vitamita Vegemin. And B, you always could see the unspoken dialogue in her texts, in her takes. Yes. Is that you knew what she would say if she were using words, but she's not going to use those words. And
that's right.
But also when she did, and this is a tip of the hat to the writers, they were choice. I mean, there was some very original thinking in in those jokes, and some very fine comic writing. I was very impressed with that, actually.
Nothing like it. Absolutely. And, you know, I especially love the episodes that you were in. And I know when they, you know, come up, you know, I put my shows on random a lot. When they come up, I'm like, oh, good. You know, we're going to get to see the flashbacks. I look forward to that. And, you know, just hearing the stories of, because my dad's side of the family is Italian, and he grew up in Brooklyn. And you know, I've never seen the apartment or anything like that, but I'm sure they have pictures. But I often hear stories, and you know, I'm just imagining like him, you know, speaking with my grandmother in the apartment in the way that you were speaking with, you know, Sophia, your mother. And I'm just putting the picture together, and I'm like, man, they really got it down pat, you know, and just the relationship between, you know, you and Estelle, it's something you want to watch over and over. And it's just so heartwarming. It's just so real.
It was so, thank you. It was so interesting that they didn't choose to show Sid Milton. You know, that was such an interesting choice that the father was an idea, but he didn't have any flesh and bones. I mean, he was a disembodied voice, and no matter where he showed up.
One of my favorite lines from him. I like beer with my air. I'll never get over that. I get some air. We have air in the house. One beer with my air. I mean, no one can write like that, but they can. It's just
They did a great job.
That's I tell you.
But again, thank you both for
Thank you
joining.
so
Yeah,
much.
it's always a pleasure talking to you. I wish you nothing but big success with this. And
Thank you. Come back anytime. You can
All
review an
right,
episode
This
with
was a
us.
delight.
it was a delight.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Meg.
Have a good night, everyone.
And
All
thank
right,
you,
Bye.
Heather.
take care.
Don't forget to follow So Good We Named It on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to leave us a review and a rating wherever you listen to this podcast. For more information on our podcast, go to SoGoodWeNamedIt.com. And for more information on the next GoldenCon, go to ThankYouForBeingAFan.com. And as always, thank you for listening and thank you for being a friend. But hopefully I surprised you.
Oh my God,
Having them
you
pop
tricked
up
me.
on you.
You did, and oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you.
I like to give
this means a
people
lot.
the opportunities that I would want because I love the show. So since I have a bit of a way in now, I try to, do
Yeah,
for
you
people
do.
what I would want done for me. So you never know
Yeah,
what might
and-
happen. Now, anytime I say, hey, come back, you're going to be like, well, who's going to pop up now?
Yeah, I told some of my coworkers, especially the ones who watch the Golden Girls, and I was like, hey, young Dorothy, yeah. And I was like, I said, well, we're gonna do like a pre-record. They'll pre-record. How does that work? I says, I have no idea. That's what I want to know. But now I know why. It's not really because I'm like, I could just send them a clip, like,
Right.
but I wasn't gonna argue,
I was like, she better not
but-
ask me any questions. Just go along with it.
Just go with it.
just go exactly. No, I was like, all right, let's do this. And sure enough, bing, and a part of me kind of thought like, I bet she's gonna be on tonight, so
Nothing gets
wow,
past you.
yeah, I mean, this is just so generous, so nice of you to offer this. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who don't do this, like you said, and they're either like they're too big or they're like, no, I can't deal with you. They just don't know how to communicate with people. And you've done this for such a short time, and you just have the skills. Like you just know how to do it, and
Thank
and you're
you.
doing it well. You're
I
doing
want
it
to
right.
put that in
So,
the show. Thank you. That sounds good.
Thank you.
Told me you talked to her about kind of your career and everything, and you just
Yeah,
appreciated them taking the time to chat you up amongst the thousands of people there, instead of just what I anticipated from most people of, oh, hi, nice to meet you, next. Just because I've never been to a convention, and from what little I see, that's what it always looks like. Like, okay, stand here, take your picture, okay, goodbye, and then they move on to the next.
That's usually what it is. Yeah. And I am just so glad that, for your sake and everyone else who went to this, it was not like that at all. I mean, they felt like family,
I know. It's like being at
we
Olive
were
Garden.
really lucky. Yeah.
So hopefully it's not so overrun next year
Yeah.
that we don't get that opportunity anymore. I would like to think that I'll still be involved as talent of some sort. So hopefully at least I'll get to do it. And, I'll have you come in the green room or whatever if they don't have security next time. But there was no incidents, so shouldn't be. And you can
Right,
enjoy the
'cause
luxuries of craft service.
Yeah. I hate to say it. I think it could be like incidents or possible problems that cause what turn into these very like sterile, regimented type of conventions. I could be wrong, but sometimes they have to like up, bump it up, almost like airport security. I hate to say it.
It only
But,
takes one
worst case,
person. to
I'll
ruin
just
it.
pretend that I'm security, and we'll see how that goes. So
Well, the security they had, I just kept breezing past them when they'd be like, "Oh, you can't come in here." I'm like, "Oh, I'm talent." Just flash my badge and keep walking.
my God.
They didn't chase after me, so
that's crazy. And yet, and definitely don't include this, but yet they would not let my friend in who has a bad knee and had to walk to the pier from the place that we were staying at, because she forgot her physical badge back at the hotel, but she had her she had it digitally on her phone, and she showed it to them. And worst of all is even the person who checked her in the day before, but just because of the rules, he's like, I'm sorry, like you have to have a physical badge. She had to walk all the way back, and her knee was killing her. So it's kind of funny how like some things were secure, and then something like this, it's like, or weren't secure, I should say. But then something like this, it's like, nope, sorry, yes, I remember you from yesterday, your name and your mother, but nope, you don't have the badge. I can't let you in.
you should have come and gotten me. I would have said, "Oh, they're with me."
Right? Yeah. Oh boy. Well, now I'll tell her we know people. So thank you so much.
Oh, we forgot to do the damn outro. Well, we can do it now. You can say it with us. Because as I always say,
we.
Oh,
Right.
we? Oh, we. It's we. Yes. We're French.
We're French now.
As we always say, thank you for
for
being
being
a
a
friend. That Zoom delay really kills us
That's
every
okay.
time.
We can fix it later.
Yeah.
All right, fix it in post.
Okay.
All right, well, we're gonna let you go to sleep because I know you're supposed to be in the bed, and I need to be at home for my
I'm home.
my
I need to
5-hour
Yeah,
drive.
leave
What you mean
Kay
same?
alone.
You are home.
I know, but I need to be in the bed.
She's rocking back and forth
She's
like
been
Miss
by
Seeley.
herself.
Wow.
I know how she feels.
And I think the
Okay.
dog peed on me while we were recording, but that's fine.
Yeah, he's terrible.
That's because the dog loves you.
And he loves Lynnie Green.
That's why. Yes.
And we are here recording live with So Good We Named It, featuring Barrett and Kay. And might I add that this is the first Golden Girls and Golden Palace podcast, and the first, say it with me, everyone, I know I can't hear you, but that's fine, to my knowledge with black hosts. Now, Kay, I did give you the permissions to join. Are you having some technical difficulties? Kay, I see you, but I can't hear you.
Oh shit! Hello.
You got it? You good?
Can y'all hear? I'm on.
I hear a little echo.
Okay, I'm on.
You okay? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, isn't this nice? We don't do this enough.
Okay, we don't do this at all because I'm confused, honey.
I've never done my own Twitter space, so you know I'm new here. But I do want to just call out a few folks I see in the crowd. I see Chris, the Blanche.
Golden Gays.
Yes, with.
We have a request. They haven't put a request in. I don't know what. I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, well, I see a couple of them. All right, we'll be right with you, folks. We're trying to get a hang of things here, but I just wanted to call out a few folks I see. Oh, well, there's two Chris's. There's Blanche with this amazing gigantic wig that I love, and every time I see you, I want it to be an even bigger wig than the last time. And Chris from Golden Girls Posters. I have my Svelte for Berry shirt from them, and go check out their Instagram. Hilarious memes. Scream for the Governess, still my fave. And Enough Wicker, the podcast that made me want to make a podcast. So hopefully someone hears us and wants to make a podcast, and it'll be like Russian nesting dolls. And we have an episode coming up with them. And let's see, Katrina, who you might know from was it the New York Post with the Henny Penny costumes, and Michelle, who you all may have heard as the Selfish Lover, discussing foreskin on a recent episode. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing this right. Giro? You know who you are.
That's a beautiful picture of young Betty White.
It is. It is. Kay, did you have anything you want to say before we get to the nitty gritty?
No, let's get into it.
So, with us just watching, well, me anyway, the January 6th hearings, I'm curious. I've tweeted about this, and I'm going to start accepting these requests so you can chime in. Who from the Golden Girls do you think would have been at the insurrection? Not necessarily the four ladies, although Blanche might because of the many, many, many men. But are there any other characters that you all feel would definitely have been storming the Capitol? Hello, Chris.
Hi.
It is so nice of you to join us. Feel free to tell everybody where they can find you all before you share your commentary.
Yes, you can find us. What's up? Actually here with the Rose.
Oh.
Hello? Headed back.
Rose, pull up your antenna.
Okay, it's perfect.
Okay, I think we still got you. Tell us where can they find the Golden Gays?
The GoldenGays.net, and that can connect you to all of our socio media, as I like to call it.
And use promo code So Good We Named It for 0% off on your tickets. So I'm a little disappointed you're not coming back to Chicago anytime soon.
You can listen to our podcast, of course.
You have a podcast? I feel like the people who follow me who were like, oh, do you have a
We have
podcast?
something in the works.
Okay, so I'm not that behind. You don't have it out yet.
No, we were guests on your podcast.
Oh, right. I was going to say, how do you have a podcast and I don't know about it? But who do you think from the show would be at the insurrection?
Oh, God. Oh, Lord, that's a hard one.
I got a few right off the bat.
Barbara Thorndike.
Definitely.
Claxton.
They definitely would be there leading the pack, calling everyone limited, and handing out prune Danish. I definitely could see that. You think Rose would be there, Kay?
On accident. Like, she would be there on accident, not knowing what was actually going on.
I can see that.
Very true.
I can see that.
That's very true. I feel like she would be like giving out like, oh, I thought this was the Harry Pie convention or something.
Yeah.
I can see that. Or maybe she'd think it was a few Shriners looking for a good time. I can accept that. And then Blanche would be there for the mini men.
She's giving out free samples by the bathroom.
And I don't think Dorothy would go. I don't know. Would Sophia go? I don't think she... Well, she would go to make a buck. I think she would have something she was selling to all the people, like bacon, lettuce, and potato sandwiches or something.
Bacon, lettuce, potato. Bacon, lettuce, potato. Yes.
And Dorothy would be the one holdout, as usual.
Watching from the sidelines with a big bucket of popcorn.
I could see that. Stan might be there too, the Yuts, for sure. Yes, he would definitely be trying to
Whoopee cushion.
or make potatoes great again, Zbornies, perhaps. I can definitely see that. Michelle, selfish lover, which is how I have you in my phone because I like that. Who do you think would be at the insurrection from the show?
Oh, I definitely think that Stan's cousin would be there.
Oh yeah, Magda. She would
definitely.
definitely.
She definitely would be there. With her Slurpee and her Vanna White autobiography.
It's just really good. As long as they don't nickel and dime her on the extras, the Proud Boys, I think she'll be okay. But when there's one road, no one gets lost, so she would probably just follow everybody else right to the front.
Straight down Pennsylvania Avenue.
And I think, I don't know, maybe I should try to incorporate that since I am allegedly going to try to write this little script for the Golden Place based on The Good Place, but with all the Golden Girls characters that we never see again. I felt like, what happened to them? I want to see a whole little town full of them living and working together. For those of you who haven't seen it, Janet is a character that's kind of like the tour guide, let's say. And I've been trying to think who would I want to do that. I feel like Coco would be the founder because he was the first person casted off. But maybe the lady from the hotel would be the Janet, the one that let them sleep in the lobby. Or maybe Nursey Nurse. Right. So I'm still working it out. I see we have another speaker. Maybe you can tell me how to pronounce your name correctly, because I definitely probably slaughtered that. The anticipation is killing me. Hello.
The connection is connecting. Here we go.
Oh, went back to listener. I guess the pressure was too much.
Yeah.
It's okay. Heather from the exclusive group chat Parrot Village that I have with some other Goldencon folks. Heather, who I thought that I met, and I was convinced we met, and then I realized I made that up. Hello, Heather.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here.
Is it better with your brother? Who?
This doesn't look like a pretend microphone. I mean, I thought it was a hairbrush, but whatever. I'll do my best. So, I have two people. First, I'm going to say Rex Huntington, just because I know other than I just think he's that type. Definitely
Rex would be there.
Probably, yeah. And then Rose, but I think she would be, protesting and saying, we're, as Americans, we're mad as hell, we're not going to take it anymore, and then proceed to tell everyone about the brown bear and the field mouse. Everyone just stopping in shock and just staring at her, so.
I can see that for sure. Yeah. Or Rose trying to get everybody to join hands and sing a chorus of Abraham Martin and John, which I don't even know what that is. Where's Matt Browning's book when I need it? Because I have no idea what that is.
I have it right here. Okay, if I find out, I'm gonna request again. So.
Thank you. We have our special correspondent Heather standing by with scholarly research inspired by Enough Wicker, the true scholars. And looks like Guillermo wants to come back up. Again, I'm sure that is not correct, so please tell me the correct pronunciation. And for those of you listening at a later date, there's a lot of technical aspects of this, so don't judge us, because I'm probably not going to edit all that out. Hello, and welcome back. Oh, hello. I don't know why I was expecting you to sound like a young Betty White. I think just the picture has that in my head. But welcome. We've never spoken formally. If you'd like to tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, how do you pronounce your name?
Oh, that's just my handle or whatever. But Güero.
Okay.
Güero. And what are the origins of that name, out of curiosity?
That's, I guess, Mexican Spanish for white boy, basically.
I thought it might be Spanish in your pronunciation, but the U just had me thinking it was German. I don't know why. can you tell us just a little bit before you answer about your love for the Golden Girls, since we haven't had you on the show?
Certainly. I mean, I've always loved them. I would give up my Saturday nights with my friends in high school just to watch the show. So I've been a diehard fan since they were on primetime TV.
Wow, and look at you now on So Good We Named It. Who do you think would be at the insurrection from the Golden Girls?
Posey McGlynn.
Posey McGlynn. Yep. It took me a minute to remember who that was. I was like, I know that damn name.
She was a fairly violent person. She had a gun in her purse.
That's true. She would probably be trying to sleep her way to the top and maybe get appointed in the cabinet of the Trump presidency. And I'm trying to think. I feel like there's not many characters, that one-off characters that we hear a last name, except for a few of the guys that they dated. So I think she definitely stands out. I can't think of too many others unless they had a really big storyline, like maybe Frida Claxton or the Boscos, but we don't know Jean's last name. We don't know Truby's last name or Trudy. So it is odd that she had a last name. So that's what made her stand out to me, other than the fact that she carries a gun in her purse, which at the time, I don't know if that was legal in Florida to even have a gun on you. Again, this is not Enough Wicker, so I have no scholarly research on that. But I'm going to just assume. I mean, I guess it was concealed in a nice clutch, so technically. And she had gloves on, so there'd be no fingerprints. So clearly, she premeditated all of that. I don't know, was that part of the act for her to have that gun, or did she just have a gun on her? But that's definitely one that I didn't even think of, because I posted like a collage of all the people I would name, and she was not included. So you got me on that one.
Where did you post the collage?
On the So Good We Named It Twitter.
And where can we find it? On our Twitter page?
Yes, at So Good We Named It. The first Golden Girls, and y'all know. Y'all heard it before.
You know the rest.
Well, thank you for that insight. I feel like I should have a running tab here of all the people that were adding to this Golden Girls 2020. I've been doing a few hashtags, Golden Girls 2020, just how the girls would react, and I think I need to do one with Posey McGlynn and take all the credit, of course. Katrina, welcome back. Let me bring you up. Katrina was one of the, I'll bring both of you up.
Costume contest winners at Goldencon.
That too.
What's that guy's name that tried to defame us? I'm gonna invite him to the thing.
That could be interesting. Hello, Katrina, and hello, Psychedelia, who I always slaughter your name. That's probably wrong too.
You do. So it's Psychedelia. My name is Leah, and I am into psychedelic 60s paraphernalia. So not necessarily easy to remember, but my name is Leah. You can call me Leah.
It's hard to remember people's real names because I know you by like seeing you online. We met, so I should know better.
Yes,
we met at
Shouted
GoldenCon.
your name across a convention hall.
And I was like, oh God. But you and Katrina have the distinction, I believe, of being the only people to co-host with me without Kay when she was away. So that is quite a feet. She was.
Okay. And happy belated birthday, Kay.
Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday to Kay. Woo!
Woo, thank you. I'm 25 for the 6th time.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
If Leah and Katrina, if you have anyone you'd like to add to our growing insurrectionist list.
When I was on your show, we talked about the first Kirsten. I think.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm too ashamed of you, Mother.
I can definitely see. I hated her, which is going to bring us into our next topic, so I'll digress. But excellent example, yes, for sure.
Yeah, so her and I can't think of the little girl.
Charlie Jr. too? Oh, Daisy. Oh.
Yeah, who stole Fernando.
Definitely. She also has a gun, so I feel like she would be there. I thought you were saying Kirsten's daughter. I was like, damn, Charlie Jr. would be
Charlie, she's a sweetie, not Charlie. Daisy.
And if you watch Golden Palace, you get to see an adult Charlie Jr. go to spring break. Shout out for that little bit of continuity. Leah, who would you add to this growing list?
You know, I'm going to go with another daughter, Rebecca Hollingsworth. Not
What?
because she has, hear me out, not because she has hateful views, but because she, at the time, is with Jeremy and doesn't think she could do better than like that.
Okay, so that Rebecca, yes. I can see her going with him. Be serious.
Self-esteem, proximity to
Definitely, because that's like two totally different characters aside from the fact that they're different actresses, but she did a complete, flip from not being with him. So yes, Rebecca 1.0, if Jeremy was like, oh, we're going to go, okay, Jeremy, and she would just grab the suitcases and run out of the door. So Kay, are you taking notes on this, Kay?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so like at work when they say, who's taking notes? And we both remain silent the entire time. That's not in my job description, but well, somebody out there, I'm sure. We'll fix it in post.
Because it's supposed to do a collage with all
I wanted to redo my collage with the people that we had named from this.
and just play it back later.
I don't listen to these, but I thank you for those contributions, and hopefully someone out there is listening and can remind me later. I see we have Jamie. I don't know if I know you, Jamie, unless this is Blanche's brother-in-law. Let's find out. Connecting. Hello, Jamie, and welcome to So Good We Named It Live. Are you there, Jamie? Did I scare you off?
You might have scared him off with the voice, because, like, where did that come from?
I'm just real...
What's his name?
I'm amped up.
What is that insane person's name?
Are you referring to the person that made multiple videos about us because we didn't give them an entire episode to themselves?
That's exactly
And they also harassed people who won contests because they got to be on the show. They have been kicked out of multiple Golden Girls groups, and I think placed on some kind of watch list. And pretty much anyone in the Golden Girls fandom that I have mentioned this, I haven't even said their name or description. I'm just like, yeah, there's somebody harassing us. And everyone's like, oh, yep, I know who it is. Including, so they can curse us out. Is it for ratings for Sweeps Week?
It's for Sweeps Week, for sure.
Well, I don't have any direct contact with them, but if, anyone else wanted to send them a link, it's not like they can talk unless we let them, so,
What's their Twitter handle? I wish I knew what it was so I can invite
I don't know their Twitter.
That would be hilarious. We would have so many that, like, I feel like that would go absolutely viral. That would be hilarious.
Is that what you're trying to use our platform for? For controversy? I see Jamie has requested again, but I was looking up on YouTube earlier about this couple that got murdered. Stay with me. On a very special episode of So Good We Named It. They got murdered in like 1980, and they had a baby, and nobody knew what happened to the baby. So they just found out the baby's still alive. She's like 42 now. So I was like, oh, let me go look up some more stuff about this, and I type it in, and this person comes up, 2 of their videos. I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with this? I just feel like they're everywhere now.
What happened to the baby?
Apparently they were in some kind of cult, and then these ladies from the cult dropped the baby off at a church, and they were adopted, and I guess had a pretty decent life. And their adoptive family are not suspects in the murder, FYI. But no, it's real. I had heard the story before, and when they were trying to find the baby, and today it was announced they found the baby. So shout out to the baby. If you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show. And if you want to talk about the Golden Girls. Hello, Jamie. Is this Jamie Devereaux or a different Jamie?
Jamie's still connecting. We don't have Jamie just yet.
It says speaker for me. And hello to all the new people that came. If you are not sure who we are and you just popped in, this is So Good We Named It Live, the first Golden Girls and Golden Palace podcast, and the first Golden Girls or Golden Palace podcast with black hosts. To my knowledge, I should really record that so I don't have to keep saying it over and over again. If you like the Golden Girls, if you like Golden Palace, if you like random kids that sound like they're from Newsies living in a hotel with the random black guys, hey Roland, then this is the podcast for you. And if you don't like any of those things, it's still the podcast for you. Jamie is gone again. Shout out to Joanna. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, and it's not Johanna. If it is, let me know. They were at the movies the other day, right down the street from me, at the Golden Girls, movie thing. And I'm ashamed that I didn't even realize that it was out, because I try to be on top of everything, and I didn't even know. They just show the episodes. I went when they did it the last time, and of course, I had to speak to the manager afterwards. In true.
Because why? What's the Ken?
Look.
What's the male version of Karen?
Barrett.
Yeah, clearly, because the fuck is wrong. So what happened?
Look, so Manny and I, my husband, for those of you that don't know, we went to go see it.
He's here. I told him he should come say hi because I always talk about him. Maybe he should remain an enigma like Phil. But was this obnoxious couple. If you're listening now, you're annoying. And they were sitting behind us. And before, not only were they saying the lines along with the girls, they were saying the jokes before the characters could say it. So they were just spoiling everything. And while I might know what's coming up, he didn't know, and I'm sure other people didn't know. And you just want to enjoy it. This is not DVD commentary. Shut the hell up. So, I made a few remarks to them to be quiet, in which I was like, well, let me stop before, I get shot. Because that's the thing. People shoot you in the movies. It's a thing. Look, this is the America we live in. And there was a case that just got settled from years ago where this guy, it was the same thing. He was talking and the guy told him to be quiet, so he threw popcorn at him, and then the guy shot him and killed him.
Damn.
Right. And the guy got off. Shocking.
How'd he get off? We're not gonna talk about that. That's a whole nother situation, and we're black hosts, so let's just skip past that.
That's all the more reason we should talk about it, because we're black.
Oh, not tonight. It doesn't have to be a heavy episode tonight.
Right, let's talk about Senior Frogs or something. I
like Senior Frogs. They have
I've never been. That's always what I think of when we go on our tangents, because on Enough Wicker there was an episode where they just started talking about Senior Frogs, and I was so invested I forgot what episode we were even talking about. So every time we go off subject, I think of Senior Frogs.
Yeah, I got the spinach dip.
If anyone would like to sponsor us and send us there, contact us at sogoodwenamed@gmail.com.
Did you know 1 in 100 people are serial killers or sociopaths?
So I don't know at what point this
recording. I got to start paying more attention. But welcome back, and we're talking about serial killers and sociopaths and Senior Frogs. It records on here too. Oh, great. So we're set. It records here, records there, records everywhere. And most serial killers were adopted. But yeah. It's true. This is scholarly. It's true. And I don't think that it's because they're adopted, but I think when you adopt and it's not through an agency, you don't get access to the records of the family, mental illness and things like that. So I think that might play a part in that.
I just accepted Heather.
Okay, welcome back, Heather. Get us back on topic, Heather.
So Rose was a serial killer.
I think so too.
How many people did she kill in the show? She killed Al Beatty. She killed Frida Claxton.
She killed Charlie.
She killed directly. She didn't directly kill these people.
Questionable.
Killed it.
It was that good. I feel like she killed somebody on Golden Palace. I can't. Well, they thought she did that one time. Spoiler.
She put the pool cover over the people.
Right, but that was a prank though.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's how they lost their insurance because she closed.
Oh wait, yeah, that one.
So
Damn.
And Rose was adopted.
Yeah, see, there you go. And she killed her mother because she put her in a home unnecessarily. She said her sister convinced her to put Alma in a home, and that she went down after that, went downhill. So indirectly, manslaughter at least.
Oh God.
That's gonna be my new series, The Trial of Rose Nyland, coming to Netflix. Making of a Murderer. Maybe Chris will make that new poster.
You should write us a short play or story to that where she's on trial, giving her testimony or something
I should, and have people who guest starred be character witnesses.
Yeah, make it kind of dark too.
Yeah, like Bel Air. How that's like a dark version of Fresh Prince.
It's not a dark version of Fresh Prince.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but aren't people getting killed and stuff?
How the fuck you? What? You ain't even see it.
I read a good synopsis here and there. And what is synopsis plural? Synopsis?
It's not dark though.
Synopsi? Senior Frogs. Why was I talking about killers? I had a point. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to listen back and remember why I even.
You were saying something about the kid whose parents were murdered or something.
Yeah, and then that brought up that guy, but I don't remember what else I was talking about. Damn. It's a shame when your kids lose it before you do. Hello, J Red, with this lovely photo of Whitney Houston with someone's face photoshopped on. Oh, I know. We were talking about me being a Karen. I don't know how we got everywhere else. Okay, so yes, they were talking, so I went and complained, and someone came in, but they didn't kick them out, so I went and complained again, and I told them that they ruined my movie experience. I couldn't enjoy it. I'm a diehard fan, and I was devastated, etc., etc. Of course, at that point, my husband went towards the exit whenever I asked for it. I wasn't embellishing. I told the truth that they were talking the whole time and nobody kicked them out. And he's like, I'm going to go over there because he never wants to be involved when I speak to the manager. But I pointed to him. I was like, my husband heard it. He'll co-sign what I'm saying. So they gave me some movie passes, which were expired. So if they don't accept them when I return, I'll be complaining again for additional movie passes. You know who you are, Regal City North. Shout out to Regal City North if you'd like to come on the show sometime. Yeah, that was a while ago. They probably just made sure I didn't find out that they were bringing it back so I wouldn't come again. But whoever it was that made me complain, thanks for the free tickets, I guess. I appreciate it. But I was all decked out with my Golden Girls attire.
Did you have your fur on, or was it wintertime?
I did not have my fur on. So I think it was like springish, maybe? Who knows? Time kind of molds together for me these days. But it wasn't a whole lot of people there. People did have on their Golden Girls shirts and stuff, but that was before Goldencon. So I was kind of disappointed. Like, people weren't talking to me anyway. It seemed like people were just kind of talking to whoever they came with. And I was like, damn, I thought this would be like, oh my God, we love the Golden Girls. So maybe people were just shy. Goldencon, I think after that, I would assume if I went to something now, not only would I be shoving business cards in everyone's face, but I probably would be talking to them. So I think I am going to go and just leave my card in all the seats. Yeah, because we've got thousands of them. And shout out to Berwin and as well as my husband. I know Berwin specifically stayed up like all night with this like art class cutting thing. I don't know why I'm doing the movement like you can see me. Because Walgreens ended up printing out a bunch of them, but they couldn't cut them. So I was like, I'll just take those too. And he cut all of them the night before GoldenCon. It was thousands. So shout out to him. Apparently we didn't need them because I still have them. But hey, you know.
Yeah, we'll never need business cards again. You bought like a lifetime supply of business cards.
And every person I saw, hey, we have a podcast if you'd like to listen. And they're like, who the hell is this?
I'm like, these people have no idea who you are. We have to get the cards down. I'm just like, okay.
No one has reached out to say, oh, I follow you thanks to you giving me that card. But if we become famous, that can be a little memento. So
I feel like I'm famous already.
I mean, we're all famous in our own rights, but, you know, I have my flop of a YouTube channel with 19,000 subscribers, but, you know, I've had that channel for 15 years, so most of them are probably deceased by now. We're not famous for this yet. Well, we're kind of famous, a little famous, you know.
I feel like I'm kind of important, like, just overall.
Hi, Melanie, you're special. I did want to transition into our next topic. I want to know characters from the show that everyone hates that aren't the typical, because of course everybody hates Claxton, everybody hates Barbara Thorndike. I'm sure you all know who I hate if you listen to the show enough, but I'll just give two real quick. Definitely Kirsten number one. Mother, I'm so ashamed of you. Who the hell are you to tell Rose what to do with her damn money? Okay? She had sex with that man every Saturday for like 30 years. She earned it.
Every Saturday?
Yeah, no wonder she never heard of I Love Lucy. So I just feel like that's her business. Whatever she wants to do. Who is Kirsten to say? Like, what's an appropriate use of the money, Kirsten, since you're a financial advisor now?
Right.
Exactly. You don't fucking know. So, get out of Rose's damn business. Like, you're going to scold her? Although, maybe that's just how they do, because Rose was scolding her mother, so I guess it's just the circle of life.
Money to fund the herring circus.
Perhaps. But it's not like she's asking her for money. Rose is over here cashing in her Christmas club for a roof and a toilet for the house that she's renting. And she's not asking Kirsten. They never ask their kids for money, which is odd. I think they would whenever they're hard up. So mind your damn business. You're not staying in a hotel, so clearly you don't have any money your damn self. But anyway, period. And just to harp on their kids, who are all awful. But Janet, I don't hate her because of anything she's done. I hate her for what she hasn't done. Because she does the most to do the least. Now, I can excuse her, you know, trying to rid herself of Blanche, because I don't think that people are obligated to keep their parents in their lives. If you have a horrible mother, then, you know, I can see wanting to not want to deal with her. But my issue is, and this is not knocking the actress or anything, but Janet is pointless. Why are you here? What is the point? Like, we hear about her for years of how she hates Blanche in this horrible relationship. And then we finally meet her and I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be this big blowout. And no, it's just her visiting and then Rose has a heart attack or whatever. Like, she added nothing to the story whatsoever. And I felt like it was very anticlimactic, pretty much. I might as well have had sex with Stanley because it was a lot of build up and no payoff. I feel like they started with the idea of, oh, this will be great. And then they're like, who has time for that? I wish we had asked Mark Sock, maybe we'll ask him next time. But it was nice to see her, I guess, just to see her. I don't understand the timeline here because David was 15 in 1985. And then we have Melissa, who we meet, I believe, in season 6. Remember, she was in the pageant with Blanche. She's also the little girl from the Pepsi commercials from the 90s. The Joy of Cola. And then she's back again next year with Sarah. I don't understand. Was she a teen mother? And, are they Irish twins? Is that racist to say? I don't know. But I don't understand anything about Janet. And I just feel like the fact that organized religion makes her crazy is really the only thing I could really say I learned from her during that visit. So for that reason, I hate her. And Kay?
I don't like that's unconventional. I don't like the teacher, Blanche's teacher, when he was trying to make that pass to her.
Well, I don't think anybody likes him. He's a attempted
rapist. I don't like
rapist.
the dentist either because he tried to gaslight Rose.
Well, I mean, those are sexual predators, so I would hope that most people don't like them. I definitely, of course, I don't care for him. He did gaslight her. Like, that makes it worse. Not only did you make this pass, because at least the teacher admitted it. He's like, yeah, I did it. So what? Who cares, as Joy Behar would say. But the dentist was like, oh, no, you're probably just sleepy, or, oh, it's the drugs. And I know drugs can have that effect,
but don't gaslight me.
And I do like that she at least made him dance. I wish she had sprayed his crotch, like in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. The character that did that is also named Rose, Joanna Cassidy. If you'd like to come on the show sometime, that iconic role, we'd love to have you. I'm right on top of that, Rose, her catchphrase. That brings us to, who is it? Glenna. Oh, let me bring Glenna up. Red Rover, bring Glenna right over. And Glenna won for Best Sophia at the Mother of a Solid Gold Dancer. That iconic costume. Welcome back, Glenna.
Was it the marathon costume?
Yes, it was. Glenna, you're on the air.
Hello.
Welcome back. This is your second time on the show. I don't think anybody else has even been on here twice. Oh, wait, Heather. Heather, I think, submitted a clip. And Michelle, and Katrina, and Leah. So I guess you're not the only person, but that's fine. Or who do you hate that most people don't really think about from the show?
I hate Lily. Sorry.
Wow. Ableist scum. This is a safe space. Lily gets on my damn nerves as well. Why are you cooking at a stranger's house?
Why are you cooking at a stranger? Why are you cooking at someone else's house?
I mean, even if she wasn't blind, why are you cooking at someone else's house? And being blind, all the more reason. Because as she says, I don't know this place. Well, you knew you didn't know it when you started cooking.
Right.
And what the hell was she cooking? Because it, spontaneously combusted instantly. So, did she have a helium tank nearby? I need to know what's going on. But I'm noticing a pattern. We really hate the family members. I see. Because I hate Holly, too. So, do we like any family members? Should that be the conversation? Is there anyone they're related to that we don't despise? Oh, Angela. Definitely Angela. Love Angela. A.K.A. Gina Lola Bridget. And Angelo, I like him. So, Sophia, her people are good. I like her people.
Clayton, too. And I like, Mammy.
Well, Mammy Watkins, I guess she can kind of be a relative because she's one of Big Daddy's many conquests, along with Big Mommy and Mother Hollingsworth. Yeah, I like Clayton too, and I loved meeting the actor that plays him, Monty Markham. Great guy. I hope to see him at the next Goldencon. Just to, kind of get back on that for a second. They all, were just happy to be there and just enjoying it all, and he was definitely loving it as well. So shout out to him. Come on the show sometime. I don't know how to get in touch with him, but if you're listening, hey, how you doing? Glenna, just on a side note, because we're Facebook friends, has iconic costumes. She recently posted about her anniversary, and she showed all of their costumes through the years, and I can really appreciate that. I love Halloween. My husband does not. He did not grow up celebrating it, so I'm like, all the more reason to celebrate it now. When he does participate, it's not really because he wants to. Whenever I have another Halloween party, I hope that you can make it. Kay was there for my birthday party, which was a Halloween party a few years ago. I was Medea.
Gun and everything. House coat and all.
And this was during the pandemic, but we had on masks, and Kay was at the door with the forehead thermometer, not letting anyone cross the threshold unless they passed her inspection, and she sprayed them down with sanitizer. You were telling me you were going to be a Georgia peach.
I was, because I had just got my butt
put on, but you know.
I gotta get me one of those.
Hear me?
Yes, welcome, finally.
So the character that I hate the most was the guy that Blanche dated in the wheelchair that was married, that was having
Oh yeah, the jerk in a wheelchair.
Right, the jerk in the wheelchair. And then did you guys know that Blanche's real son, I need somebody to confirm this. They said that Blanche's real life son lives in Austin, Texas, is a music teacher, and he has a music school in Austin. So can someone please confirm that?
I'm gonna look that up.
Rue McClanahan's son?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look on my
Rue
work
McClanahan's
computer,
son
make it official.
has a son, and he's a music teacher. And then also my last comment, did y'all know, I know everybody probably knows this, but the episode where there was a hurricane coming, the two police officers that came into the room, one of them was the adopted son of Dorothy in real life, the shorter one.
Oh, really? Author. Yeah.
Yeah, that I did. I feel like I told you that on the show once, Kay, and you were like, I didn't know that. Maybe that was the one we were high.
I was just gonna say we were high, so I don't remember that at all. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining, and thank you for being a friend, as I always say.
As we always say.
Yeah, or me, whatever. I'm Googling now about her son. I don't see
Who's talking about
anything.
that? Barbara Thorndike. What's her real name?
I know her name. Why can't I think of it in this moment? I know her. Oh, Bonnie Bartlett. Bonnie Bartlett.
Yeah. She was talking about that at Goldencon, how Dorothy B. Arthur adopted some sons. Adopted sons.
Let me get a couple of those sons. Thanks.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, she and Mr. Feeney, her husband, adopted little boys as well, so they had that in common. And I wish, like Blanche is glad she had the foresight to marry money. I wish I had the foresight to have someone record everything. I feel like it might be on Instagram. I gotta check, because she was dropping some gems that I would love to go back and document officially. She and B bonded over that, and if you didn't see it live or hear about it, she told us a little bit about how she wanted to wear that brooch that Barbara had, and B was like, what's the deal with you and this brooch? Why are you so obsessed with this brooch? Give it a rest already. But she actually was able to get it in the show, and now we're still talking about it 30 years later. That is one of the iconic looks, and I think I believe, don't quote me, I believe it was Alaska Thunderfuck from RuPaul's Drag Race, who dressed up like Barbara Thorndike for a drag show with that iconic outfit, the yellow and blue. So shout out to Alaska if you want to come on, or any of the queens, or Rue, Michelle Visage, anybody. I'll take whoever I can get, even just one of the pit crew guys, anybody. But thank you again, Jamie, for chiming in. I see Chris is being shy. I won't force you up here, or Enough Wicker.
Reed, who we met at the when we did the panel at Goldencon afterwards.
No, I know who you're talking about. I believe this person is based in Asia, if I recall, from, because I like to check out people's Twitters when they follow me to see where our listeners are from. I might be mistaken. Oh, they're coming up. Come on up. Come on down. Again, the anticipation. Hello, J Red. We're building up. We're building up some anticipation for you guys. The strong silent type.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah, even if you're just listening, just like Golden Girls posters and Enough Wicker are just listening. No pressure again, of course. And if you're not listening live, you're missing out. But back to the topics. I have. What?
Really quickly before I forget my joke. When somebody says be there or be square, it's because you're not around.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We had a dad joke. It's like Dad Joke Thursdays or whatever at work. I believe, didn't you post one at work too?
I did post one. They put me out.
Yeah.
So my dad joke for today for work was, I used my new blender today, and the reviews are mixed.
Signing off on a very sad note, as Rose would say. I put a tomato react on that joke. I don't know if you saw it.
Everybody put a tomato.
That damn tomato. Now everybody loved my dad jokes today. Just saying. That's fine. I have haters. I'm used to it.
Nobody hating on you, boy.
Oh. Have you been drinking? You real froggy tonight. Just like it's Senior Frogs, the official sponsor of So Good We Named It.
Very good taste of them. Steamroll me when we have like real life topics, so I actually get to talk today.
Right, I consciously was like, let me not steamroll Kay. I don't know why I'm all leaned in. I wish you all could see me. I look crazy. I'm leaned into the phone like you probably couldn't hear me anyway. But hello. I hope you don't feel bullied into joining to be a speaker, of course, but welcome.
Who are we welcome?
Golden Girls Posters.
Oh,
hey, am I on?
You are.
yeah, your mic is on.
Hey guys, how are you?
Oh, we're all right. Just chilling, you know.
I'm enjoying the show.
Oh, well, hopefully Kay stays awake this time.
Oh, you should go.
Are we still talking about characters we hate?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I don't even know if I really. I mean, I hate all the usual suspects. I like Virginia. Let's talk about Virginia, who just like comes over and says, "Give me your kidney blade."
I know.
I will say that, Enough Wicker is joining. I will say Virginia, I feel like it's a bad rap. I don't have a problem with Virginia because she sees Blanche for who she is. She knows Blanche better than anybody. And in many instances, our siblings are, the few people that really, can put us in our place. Because she's known her whole life back when she was a, fat water rat with 50 bullets in her hat. I don't think she was too pushy. I think Charmaine was pushy about that damn pocket watch. Which room is hers? And she just, barrels through. But I think Virginia was very, respectable in her request. And, very just like, I understand, I understand, Blanche, if the answer's no. But she just wanted to, try at least. And I'm going to assume that Lucy is her daughter. And I think that, with that extra layer of knowing how close Blanche and Lucy were, that might have added to the tension.
That's fair.
And I think that Blanche told that story something about her brother-in-law at some point being, not good looking or whatever. And I think that's probably something that she would share. I feel like it was probably Virginia. And I feel like that's something she would share with her about her ugly ass husband, leading to that as well.
Niece, right?
Yeah, Lucy was Blanche's niece, and they never said who her mother was.
I didn't like Lucy.
Was also known as the mom from Lizzie McGuire. If you'd like to come on the show anytime, talk about the failed reboot, we'd love to have you.
She was real loose, and I didn't like that.
She was young, dumb, and full of cum. Just, having a good time. Let her live.
What is my favorite of the whole season, of the whole series?
Oh, hello. I assume that this is Lauren.
It is. I'm here to weigh in on Virginia.
Of course, my mother's trying to call me right now. Not now, Ma.
When she confronts Blanche at Big Daddy's funeral, and Blanche is already feeling guilty, and she just launches into this whole thing. It's so out of place. I agree. I think she sucks, but Holly is my least favorite of all siblings, I might say.
I'm gonna have to debate you on that. We have an Enough Wicker so good we named it debate. I think she was justified because Blanche did not come when he asked because she's too worried about her damn plate. And then when she does come, she's, oh, hello there, baby sister. Give me a hug. Like, don't try to breeze past the fact that you let him die alone.
Fair.
Of all the kids that they have, including the mysterious brother that we never see, that Sarah will never see either because she won't watch Golden Palace, all those kids that they have, and he wanted Blanche. And, I can see her being upset, especially when he just died, but, I can...
As much as she loves her father, the fact that she's just like, yeah, I'm not going to that.
Right. So I think, I stand with Virginia. Hashtag I stand with Virginia here on this one.
I feel like maybe she didn't know he was that sick, and I feel like Virginia should have called Blanche and been like, no, he's on this... Apparently, somebody knew. Maybe he wasn't eating lima beans by himself at that point, he was not in good shape.
That's fair.
She knew she was dying. She had to have known that he was dying. She could have at least been like, he's dying.
That's true. I don't think he was dying, though. I think he just died of a broken heart. I don't think it was a condition specifically that took him out, because I would hope that somebody, Charmaine, Clayton, someone would say, hey, you might want to get your ass down here. And where was Big Mommy? That's my question.
I think Big Mommy killed him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
She pulled a rose. And,
I would not be surprised at all. Shout out to Big Mommy. She's on Twitter, so if you'd like to come on the show after we dragged your character, feel free to defend yourself. But if you don't come on the show, I assume that's you stating that you agree that Big Mommy killed him.
I think it's from squeezing on knockoffs from Big Gal's Payless by any chance.
True.
Okay, well, did they even elaborate what those knockoffs were? Like knockoff shoes? Is that, maybe that's a term I'm not familiar with? Like,
girdle or something. I don't know.
I'm guessing that maybe it's similar to my favorite store. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show before, but I'm obsessed with this Black Friday deal store that gets like Amazon returns and they mark them down to like 50 cents and I stay in there for hours like Shoppers Warehouse. Maybe it's like that because some of the stuff is like defective. So maybe it's just full of return defective teddies and things like that.
Well, you would have had a hell of a lawsuit then. If that was the case, so. I guess we'll never know.
I mean, yeah, I forgot he does pass out there, so maybe it was like Rose at the World of Wool and he just got too excited at all the good bargains. I don't know. But in reference to Virginia, because we're so used to all these funerals that we never see anybody, no one ever comes back for anything, I was just excited to see a familiar face. Like, they didn't even replace her. It's the same actress like years later, and they so rarely do that on Golden Girls that I was, maybe that's why I'm so biased, because I was just excited to see her back for a very limited engagement. I'm assuming that was Big Daddy's house and she was visiting. I don't know, they didn't really get into that, but wherever it is, they keep frosting on deck at all times, since she said something with frosting and it wasn't disputed that there would be frosting. Shout out to you. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see if she's still alive. Getting back to what Lauren, the host of Enough Wicker, the St. Gustav to our St. Olaf podcast, although all of you probably already listened to it, so this isn't much of a sell. In reference to Holly, she definitely is probably the worst of every Golden family member. If you'd like to elaborate.
You know, she just like sucks. She's mad at Rose for no reason, and then like she keeps telling these and. Like Blanche and Rose believing her is so Blanche and Dorothy believing her is so kind of frustrating to watch, but you can kind of see how you get tricked by her because she seems charming and like likable, but it turns out, she's sleeping with Blanche's boyfriend.
Well, in listening to the show, I feel like you and I are pretty similar in a lot of ways, and I feel like you and I would have seen right through that mopey dopey crap. She's zesty and feisty. I immediately would be like, who the hell is this? Get out of here. So I don't think that we would have been as won over as they were. I'm shocked that Dorothy fell for that. I can see Blanche, but I remember listening to your show about that episode, and the fact that they would just automatically believe this woman over their best friend is insane. And you talk about it a lot, that this keeps coming up where they don't believe each other, and I just don't understand. Like, you're friends, what the fuck? So I don't know if it's a character flaw or if that's just a thing. Maybe I don't know, but I feel like if Kay told me, my sister is a jerk and I don't like her, and I met her and she was super nice, I'd be like, well, I don't give a damn. Kay says she's an asshole, so I'm just gonna go with whatever Kay says. And I haven't, we don't live together and stay up all night eating cheesecake, but I still know you enough to take your word. I don't know if that was just plot driven. Again, you talk about times where they're kind of out of character and not responding how they normally would. Do you think this is one of those times, or if that was a realistic response from them?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they, with Blanche, I think you're right. Like, it's super easy because she just flatters her, which she kind of does with Dorothy, too. Attractive and great fun to be with.
And she needs it after living with those two and getting dragged constantly.
So I don't know. Maybe they just think Rose is, like, being dumb, but...
True.
Not this time. She finally got one.
Right under the buzzer. I do think that because it's Rose, it was easier to dismiss her. If it had been any of the other girls, I don't think they would have discounted the feelings as much. But all of them, hate their sisters at some point. And I know that sibling rivalry is a thing, but damn, you don't like any of them? Like, even, Angela and Sophia didn't talk for 40 damn years. I think that that's just unfortunate that the show does kind of rely on the, women can't get along thing. And we never really see that. Like, they got along the first time pretty decently.
Yeah, but after that it was over.
Yeah, after she was out of Money. And that was warranted. Now, she sucks. She definitely fucking sucks because she slept with Stan. Even if that wasn't Dorothy's ex-husband, that alone is enough of a crime to, make me not like her. But I feel like they really do kind of harp on those, the tensions between women, which, in hindsight, and as a scholar, because anyone can be a scholar according to Enough Wicker, I do feel like that's unfortunate. And I know that there are a lot of male writers on the show, and I don't know if that is why that was driven. And, they don't have a lot of female friends that we see outside of that core group. We do, meet Jean, Trudy. There's not a lot of that. And you would think, okay, well, you had a whole life before you met them. You don't have anybody other than, hey, Ingrid that, you're still connected with. Blanche I can see maybe because, she dates her friends' fathers so she can, be their stepmothers and kick them off the cheerleading team. So I can see Blanche not having a lot of female friends, but it is kind of shocking. Sophia does. Sophia's the only one that consistently has other friends. But the rest of them, other than that random woman that pops up all the time, she was at Grab That Dough, she was at the Elvis fan club, and she was at one other thing. Oh, she was on Golden Palace. When Sophia hugs her, she says, "Get the hell away from me." So maybe she's a friend?
Talk about characters that are beloved that people don't talk about enough. She's my favorite extra.
She is, and I don't even know how we would find her because she wouldn't be on IMDb because she didn't have speaking roles, probably.
I've looked her up on IMDb and she's not listed because she doesn't speak, and it's my life goal to find out who she is because she is so amazing, and I want to be friends with her. And I hope that she's still alive.
It's a shame that with this show we always have to put that on the end. I hope they're still alive because the show is so old. But if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show. One day someone is going to reach out and say, "Hey, I heard you say it," if I'm listening. Again, I think that's something only a true fan would notice because, like you said, she has no lines. But I see her over and over, and I don't know if I noticed until you posted about it. Damn, I knew her face, but I don't think I realized how often that we saw her. And it's rare for a show, from what I can tell, to reuse extras. I know A Different World is a show where you would see that, but in that case, I'm like, well, it's a college, so, it's the same students. But with her, she was all over the place. So I'm wondering, is she even the same character? Is this the same woman and she's just everywhere? We'll never know. More questions for Mark Sotkin and Stan Zimmerman, I guess.
Find out next time on So Good We Named It.
I guess when they had that dinner party and they were fat shaming Irma Jean, I think was her name, or Ima Jean, about spraying food all over them. So those were some alleged friends, but we really, don't see that. It's always about, we got to find a man, which I can understand. I was on the husband hunt before I got married, but I would have liked to have seen a more, female friendship outside of the core group just to show that, that is a thing. I do want to get to some of the questions that we were posed from some of our loyal listeners that they wanted us to cover. I don't have it in front of me, so sorry if I'm not giving you your proper credit. I'm going to try to find it. But someone was asking about our dream casting, if there was a Black Golden Girls remake. And I know I've tweeted about it. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show. Kay, I think we might have. I think we did a while ago, but if we want to kind of go through some of your top choices real quick. For Are you high?
No.
Okay. For the Black Golden Girls remake, if they were to have one, who would you select?
What is her damn name? She plays the auntie in everything.
Jennifer Lewis?
Yes.
As Blanche?
Absolutely.
I could definitely see that, and I see Michelle, the selfish lover, agrees. I feel like that was mine for Blanche, so thanks for stealing it.
And then I was gonna say Cicely Tyson to be Sophia, but she's too sweet.
And deceased.
You didn't say alive or dead. You just said who would I want?
Well, preferably people that are alive, I guess.
Fine.
I think dropping dead would be the bigger disappointment.
I want Loretta Devine to be Rose.
Again, stealing mine. I'm pretty sure that's what I said when we talked about it.
I feel like that's not what you said, though.
I feel like it is. I do.
Well, fine. You tell me the rest.
I don't know the episode I said it, so I can't prove it. For Dorothy, I would say Felicia Rashad, but she was supporting Bill Cosby, so you don't get to be on our show. Maybe Alfre Woodard, perhaps?
No.
No? You don't see it? She's got that stern demeanor. No? Well, who is Dorothy enough? I'm trying to think. Who would, and it's also hard to place people because the age that they were looked different. So when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking of people way older than what they actually were. Like Loretta Devine is in her 70s. But if you think of people in their 50s, that would be like Regina Hall, Regina King.
Really? I don't know why I want to put them in their 30s. They look amazing.
They do. They definitely do.
Can I chime in?
Oh, of course.
Oh, I definitely can see Lorraine Toussaint.
Yes. I love her. She would be an excellent Dorothy.
Ooh.
She played V on Orange is the New Black.
And I need another example.
I'm sure you've never seen this. Any Day Now on Lifetime.
Just gonna say Lifetime, yes.
That's how I first knew her. And I was watching Lifetime probably because of Golden Girls. And I was like, oh, what's this? Annie Potts from Designing Women. I'm trying to think. She was on another show that was on Fox recently.
When she was the mother.
Yes. But I can't remember what it was called. She's in a lot of stuff. I can't place her. Oh, CCH Pounder. She could be a good Dorothy. I could definitely see that. Ugh.
In fact, the entire cast of Orange is the New Black. We could do it in all genres.
I don't know what you would know her from. She was on. She's on CSI New Orleans.
They have a CSI New Orleans?
Damn, Kay, do you watch TV?
I don't watch TV. No, unless it's the Golden Girls or something else that I'm watching. I don't watch TV.
Or if it's P Valley, you'll watch that.
I definitely watch that, and All the Queen's Men. I watch that too.
Does that stand for the P that I think it does?
Yes, it does.
Oh my, how crude.
It's about strippers at a strip club. I mean, like, what?
Essie Patha Murkison, she could maybe be a Dorothy, I think. Kay, you might know her from the Chorus Seat and HBP commercial. I don't know if you heard my dryer, my clothes are ready. And she was on Law & Order. Speaking of which, I have all 20 seasons of the original Law & Order on DVD, not opened, from my Black Friday store. I got it at a good deal if anybody wants to purchase it. Shipping not included. I just thought I'd throw it in there. Senior Frogs. Oh yeah, you would need a DVD player for that. Not included. We didn't do a Sophia. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Can I chime in, Barrett?
Please do. Anyone that wants to chime in, just start talking if you're already a speaker.
I kind of want to see a little reverse in the like physical versions of Sophia and Dorothy. I want to see Maya Rudolph, even though she's like only in her 40s, be an old lady and be like a towering, like tall, and have it like a short Dorothy.
Because we're thinking about actresses in their 80s. I'm not even thinking about the fact that Estelle was not in her 80s. So I could see that. As do I. Want her to find a successful vehicle.
Yeah, like she's so good at playing like, you know, like weird characters, like in makeup and that type of stuff. I feel like she could play like an old lady like so well. It would be so
Well, she did play the grandma on Bless the Hearts, which was a cartoon. And unfortunately canceled. Thanks a lot, Fox. Haven't you done enough? And she does have a new show coming out on Apple TV that is also going to have MJ Rodriguez from Pose. So Maya, MJ, if you want to come on the show and talk about this new show, feel free. But yeah, I guess that would be interesting to have it be someone, you know, have a switch. Maybe, I guess you don't want a short Dorothy necessarily, but she could definitely do it. Maybe just get someone really, really tall. But thank you to whoever asked that. Let me find the original post so that I can get to all of the questions in a timely manner, because I definitely want you to have your questions addressed adequately. I sure do tweet a lot. This is hard to find. I guess Kay doesn't follow. She's like, where can I find this? I'm like, on the Twitter, Kay.
First of all, that was for promo purposes. You shut the hell up. It was marketing, a marketing ploy.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. I'm the Lauren and you're the Sarah, so it's okay. I like to be in control anyway, so it's fine. I found it. Okay, so Plant Parenthood is the name, and they said, this is probably a whole episode thing, but I would love a deep dive into the house itself. Good Lord, I have many thoughts and opinions. The house in general, so I believe they're referring to, if I'm interpreting this correctly, not necessarily just the layout, but just certain aspects of the house that you may really like that never really get talked about. I personally love that little back area by the sliding doors, the faulty ones that let them have break-ins that they never utilize except for when Sophia's tied up by Meryl. Did I mention there was wine? When Blanche goes to get the phone book to call about Al Beatty, and it's like maybe 2 or 3 other times. But I just really love that whole little area. Oh, with the camera, when Dorothy was Fess Parker watering the plants and Rose had the camera. But I just think that's a very beautiful area that I wish they utilized more, and that fireplace with the cathedral ceilings that you could stack up VCRs if anyone wanted to join in, so I'm not accused of steamrolling. So everyone hates the house. Okay. So I also really like that, I guess it's like I don't know what to call it, like a credenza maybe that they have in the hallway. And it has like the little bits that we can see the few times they go in the hallway up close. It has like a little Asian inspiration similar to the one before you go out to the lanai. And I just feel like those are some like really like beautiful, unique pieces that don't really, necessarily fit with the overall theme. Enough Wicker. They're, just iconic statement pieces that I would love to know what happened to them, because of course everybody wants the couch and the kitchen table and all that. But I like those pieces because that's stuff I would actually have in my home. And Kay can attest that I am a wonderful decorator, much like Nancy Reagan's. Well, I don't know if I would say I have a problem. I just like to buy furniture and, have a million pieces in one room. Just love the decor in general. And if you notice in the pilot, they have all this extra furniture that you never see again, which doesn't really fit. So I feel like they have a very unique I guess, style. And all the rooms, which I think we've talked about, have their own style. And I specifically love, Blanche has like 3 sets of furniture that we see in her room over time, which I posted about. But I like the final set where it has like the green arched vanity with the matching bedside tables. I just like the smooth, sleek look of it. It's very 80s. It's like pinnacle of 80s in Miami. And she even has it when they do Golden Palace, and she has it in her room at the hotel. I'm getting a little feedback from you, Kay. I don't know if your mic is up close there, or if you're in the car or what. But
why you always gotta be shady?
That's not shade. I just said I don't know if you're in the car because you have a high tech.
I'm gonna just go ahead and mute myself.
You have a high tech vehicle that has Bluetooth and things.
No, it's fine. No worries.
You always make me sound like an a-hole on the show.
Cause you be trying to drag me.
I would never. I live for you, Kay. I would never drag you. I would just love, if I ever amass a large amount of money to, acquire some of the pieces from the show, because I feel like, we love the couch, but there's just so much more. Now, the kitchen table, if you all saw my tweets the other day, don't get those damn chairs, because I bought the chairs that they have on the show, and they are uncomfortable as hell. I felt like I was being tortured. So maybe they should buy those chairs for terrorists to make them talk, because my back was aching. It was just very, very, I was miserable. And they were $100 a damn chair. So I've spent $400 on these chairs just to not be able to sit in them. So I did take a few pictures, and then I returned them, as I typically do. And I probably had a Karen moment then too. It's hard to keep track. And that was Jay Red. That was Jay Red who asked about the revival cast being black. And then let me go over to the Instagram real quick to see what those questions were, because there were a couple on there, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe we were ignored. I don't know. Yeah, we were ignored. Nobody said anything on Instagram. So I guess that concludes our very first, and hopefully not last, live episode of So Good We Named It. But thank you everyone again for listening. And as I always say, all alone, all by myself.
Thank you for being a friend.
Even on the live show. Who's the steamroller now, Kay? Who's the steamroller now? Don't forget to follow So Good We Named It on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to leave us a review and a rating wherever you listen to this podcast. For more information on our podcast, go to SoGoodWeNamedIt.com. And for more information on the next GoldenCon, go to thankyouforbeingafan.com. And as always, thank you for listening, and thank you for being a friend. Let me see.
Okay, it's gonna be past my bedtime. I'm hanging on by a thread, god dog. I'm old. I'm trying to tell you.
I know. I wanted to do it earlier, but one, I had to watch the January 6th convention. And then I also work late, But since Kay's, ended the show, when I edit this, I'm going to have to make the ending sound much better than Kay saying she's sleepy.
I didn't say I was sleepy. I said I'm old. It's almost cut past my bedtime, is what I said.
And we try to cap it at an hour. I just didn't want to ignore anybody that had asked us any questions. So I wanted to make sure we got all that. But a fun fact, now that you're all hearing us record it live, you'll know that sometimes we do have to edit the show sometimes. So we might have an outro or an intro that wasn't there when we actually recorded it. But through the magic of GarageBand, you would never know that.
But sometimes we say problematic stuff.
Yeah, we say a lot of problematic stuff that has to get edited out because I don't want to get canceled. And then, we have people with technical difficulties sometimes, and various things like that, or people who pause for 5 minutes in between everything they say. So, we just try to edit it to make it sound good for everyone.
Get a smooth transition going.
But we definitely would like to do this again, hopefully at a time where more people can join. But we do appreciate everyone that participated, everyone that came out and supported us, everyone that spoke, everyone that clapped, everyone that was just here. And I do want to give a final shout out once again to Golden Girls Posters. They have a lot of hilarious content for the Golden Girls fans out there. I wanted to buy more, but I literally have no more room. I may get rid of my mannequin that has on my Golden Girls apron so that I can have additional furniture to house my Golden Girls items. But we'll see. I had a dream the other night that I packed it all up because I had no more room for it. So I don't know if that's a premonition. But definitely check out the Instagram, the Twitter. They are definitely in the elite of the Golden Girls fandom. as is, of course, Lauren and Sarah of Enough Wicker, the podcast that, brought us here. And we will be recording with them very soon. So it will be exciting to do the, what did I call it? So Good Enough Wicker named it. I don't know what I said. Whatever it was, it sounded clever at the time. So that's what it is. And of course, Katrina and Michelle and Glenna, who have co-hosted before, and I'm sure will be back again. Heather, my new friend that I keep insisting that I've met and that co-hosted, and they never did any of those things, which is fine. And of course, Joanna. And of course, Rose and Blanche of the Golden Gays NYC, Leah, Giro, and those so famous they need not be mentioned by name. And a third, I was about to say a third leg. I guess you see where my mind is. Manny said earlier, he said, is that all you think about? I should make him say something, shouldn't I? I should barge in the room.
Leave Manny alone.
You've been protected by your friend Kay, Manny.
Leave my good friend alone.
And I don't even remember where I was going with that, but I guess we'll save that for So Good We Named It After Dark, coming soon. Perhaps in more ways than one.
We love you all.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to go to SoGoodWeNamedIt.com, and thank you for being, well, you're going to hear it at the end, so it's fine. Well, bye, and we'll see you guys later. Well, maybe.
Bye.
How do you turn this off? This is not very user-friendly, I must say.